I did see it kind of before as well. Coursera had kind of a similar thinking around, spreading that opportunity and the fact that talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not.
That's very interesting. Having played in the world of acquisitions, there is something that I found to be very interesting. That anytime you acquire a new business, there is that period of transition.
We're talking about immigrants, and there's all sorts of immigrants in this world, right? There's economical immigrant. There are some immigrants that are moving because of climate change. So there's some immigrants because of war zone refugees.
Is humanity losing something essential?
At 17, in a post-war, civil war Lebanon, there were no opportunities.
If you think about the impact that AI is going to have on jobs, the key skills will be human skills.
Should hypothetically a developer in Nigeria be paid the same as one in San Francisco or Pakistan for the same job? Why not?
What it means for us is that we can bring these opportunities for you, right? In a world where, remote work is also becoming more common, companies are looking to find that talent at a global level. We are a true enabler that can allow you to have that opportunity while staying within your community. And that also means that spreads the economic opportunity. You stay within your community, you are earning, while staying there. That means you are spending as well, which helps drive the economic flywheel as well. And that is kind of what it really means for us to be able to democratize.
Well, first, they can make geography irrelevant. They can look at the world as their oyster when they're looking for opportunity, right? And when it comes to skills, I mean, today the key skill to invest in is to become AI native, right? Like, I cannot see a future where our young professionals they're coming out of universities already capable of using AI, and sometimes much better than people with a longer experience in the workforce, right? So definitely being AI native and cutting edge in AI is going to be important for our young executives.
Immigrants, today we're joined by two exceptional leaders shaping the future of global work. Hadi, CEO at Oyster, is a seasoned operator who has led growth and innovation at companies like Airbnb, Facebook, Deliveroo, Coursera, which I have tremendously benefited from, and has been able to bring deep expertise in scaling global platforms and AI-driven platforms. Alongside him is obviously our returning guest, Oyster's founder, Tony Jamous, a visionary entrepreneur who built the company into one of the leading platforms, enabling borderless hiring and global employment. Both originally from Lebanon, their journeys are not just impressive, they are deeply personal and directly tied to Oyster's mission of expanding opportunity worldwide. Now, gentlemen, I just have to start and say I do love your mission, because it just doesn't speak to my heart, but it speaks to the things I do. Welcome to the Immigrant Pod. Tony, how are you? Hadi, you have to start us. You definitely have to start us. So, stepping into the founder's role is often described as trial by fire. I think that's the term, right? What have you had to unlearn to lead Oyster effectively, at least in your first initial 90 days?
Well, thank you, Martin, for having us. It's great to be here. Look, I mean, stepping into this role is, it's definitely trial by fire. It, takes a lot of, learning, a lot of, stepping in and trying to build trust and understanding, first how the company operates, the culture of the company that Tony has built over time, which is a, very strong culture at Oyster, and also kind of understanding what the company has done so far on a mission that, for me is truly personal, right? You mentioned that both Tony and I had to leave Lebanon at some point in search of opportunity. And when I heard about the opportunity at Oyster, for me, that, felt deeply personal. And so stepping into this role, I wanted to kind of better understand how the company is trying to achieve its mission, what kind of it's done in the past, what are the things that worked really well in being able to deliver that, and what are some of the things that maybe we can still push on and we can deliver even further in kind of the service of that mission. I think what you have to unlearn is I think you have to be just generally very curious, right? You have to come in with kind of very little kind of preconceived notions in terms of exactly what the culture of the company is and how it works. I had spent a lot of time with Tony and the team ramping up beforehand, but I really wanted to spend time with the team, right? Understanding kind of day to day how the business works, how do they work together, what are the things that work very well today, but what are also some of the challenges and the friction points. And for me, that was the key piece. The other key piece was to speak to our customers, right? People who use our product. Where do they value? Why do they value Oyster? What again are some of the things that we could help them with even more? And so kind of coming in and trying to keep some of the assumptions I had outside of the company until I get a really good feeling of like again what works really well here, what's unique about this culture, what do we have to truly maintain within this culture to be able to continue to scale the company. I think that's really important, especially as you are transitioning from a founder who is someone who obviously built the company. It means something very it's very deeply personal for them, and people also connect at a very deep level with the founder, and it's understanding that when you are coming into this role, I think is really, really important.
That's very interesting. So, having played in the world of acquisitions, there is something that I found to be very interesting. That anytime you acquire a new business, there's that period of transition where you almost find yourself at loggerheads with the current executive team because the mission alignment is not there. Tony, how did you prepare the grounds for Moussa? That way he did not have to struggle with executives that felt like the opportunity was stolen from them.
Yeah, I think first, Martin, is the timing. So when do you do this, right? I wanted to do this at a year after a year where we actually have done great in terms of our growth, our financial results. Secondly is preparing the company for that change. So I've done a restructuring a year before to make sure that the team is ready to welcome a new leader. And thirdly is about being transparent about our search process. So we have actually communicated internally about how we conducted that search. What is the rigor with which we used? What were the questions we've asked? What the case study, and how did we assess candidates? So that actually was communicated internally and even externally to make sure that people understand that this was not a random choice. This was a very calculated move that is coming from a place of strength and is designed to accelerate the path of Oyster and is to step up for Oyster.
So that's very interesting. And I'm just curious because for me, when you bring a new board member or you bring a new CEO or COO into an organization, like I said prior, there's always that conflict. But you've done a tremendous job of letting the team know exactly what expectations and how things are changing. Do you do that prior to the hire, or do you do that after the hire?
You do that after you have secured the person in the role. Okay. However, you take enough time to introduce them to the new structure, the new leader. Hadi started actually a few months before his start date, behind the scene, working with our board, working with our team. He attended in person our board meeting in November, and he started in January. He had a say in our plan for this year. He was one of the designers and the architects, and he have spent a lot of time with the team working on the plan before he even started.
Hadi, talent is universal, but opportunity is not. I first heard that term with Tony, and it just spoke to my heart, right? And I say that because the largest percentage of immigrants across the globe migrate seeking opportunity. That's a powerful statement, Tony. What real world problems does Oyster exist to solve behind the slogan?
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Martin. I think it's something that same for me deeply resonated. I did see it kind of before as well. Coursera had kind of a similar thinking around spreading that opportunity and the fact that talent is everywhere but opportunity is not. And that's one of the key reasons why I decided to join Oyster, because I genuinely truly believed in this mission. It's something that deeply resonated with me personally. um, and what's really important as I spent more time with Tony and the team is that it's not just a slogan, right? It's not something that you put on a piece of paper. It actually guides how you make choices as a company, right? It's how you decide what you focus on. It's how you decide how you serve customers and team members. It's how you decide what to build and what not to build. So it has to be something that is truly embedded in the way that you operate, not something that you put on a piece of paper. And I also think we are in a kind of very lucky position in a way that our mission and our business results are truly aligned, right? So if we drive our business, if we continue to grow our business, then we will effectively be also be driving our mission. And that I think is a great position to be in. And kind of one simple way to think about it is, as we provide a very good experience to our customers, we bring more customers on board, our customers become our partners with our mission, they hire more at the global level, that creates more opportunity for team members across the world. And as we kind of continue to grow and scale the company, it also creates opportunities for our internal team as well. And that becomes a little bit of a flywheel where our team member, our kind of internal employees are really excited, they provide a great service to customers who become our partners and hire more team members. That helps us drive the mission as well. But it's really, really important that it's not a slogan, that it's something that actually drives business decisions and drives choices on a day-to-day basis.
At Oyster, when we say we are democratizing opportunity, what does that actually mean for someone sitting in Lagos, London, Nairobi, Bogota today?
It really means that they don't have to make a choice between kind of their family, their community, and finding an opportunity, an exciting opportunity, an interesting opportunity. Again, it is deeply personal. I left Lebanon in search of opportunity. It meant that I had to leave my family, I had to leave my community, I had to leave many things that I loved about my country to be able to access these opportunities, these global opportunities at companies working on really exciting, in some cases category defining areas. And so what it means for us is that we can bring these opportunities for you, right? In a world where remote work is also becoming more common, companies are looking to find that talent at a global level. We are a true enabler that can allow you to have that opportunity while staying within your community. And that also means that spreads the economic opportunity. You stay within your community, you are earning while staying there. That means you are spending as well, which helps drive the economic flywheel as well. And that is kind of what it really means for us to be able to democratize.
Very interesting, Mr. Jamous. How should immigrants at any capacity on the global talent platform think about maximizing their opportunity when it comes to Oyster and how Oyster is changing their economic trajectories?
Yeah, let's talk about immigrant, and there's all sorts of immigrants in this world, right? There's economical immigrant. There are some immigrant that are moving because of climate change. So there's some immigrant because of war zone refugees. So with Oyster, you decouple the location you live in with the location of where you work, right? So if you're, let's say, immigrant because of climate change, then you can still work anywhere you want, right? So you can still generate income by working with a company in another country. Same with people displaced because of wars right now. So you can take your work with you anywhere you go, and we've seen it in many refugee crises in recent history where people have to move countries, but they still need their income, and they could be employed from another country, their host country, by keeping the same job. So Oyster can play a role in helping immigrants access job flexibility and mobility by decoupling where they live and where their work is located.
Excellent. Immigrants, if you're just now joining our conversation, follow the conversation on TikTok and Instagram at the Immigrant Nation, Facebook at the Immigrant Nation Podcast, LinkedIn and YouTube at the Immigrant Nation Podcast. Tony, please tell our listeners where they can find you online and where they can find Oyster.
Look, they can find me online on LinkedIn, and they can find Oyster on oysterhr.com.
Hadi, let's talk about the future of work. What's changing faster than people realize right now?
I think the biggest change in terms of the future of work is kind of AI and how AI is going to impact jobs. This is kind of something obviously that you might have seen a lot of studies about in terms of what exactly the impact is. I think we're in the early part of that journey today. I think many companies have started to find maybe different ways of working, more efficient ways of working, and that is going to have an impact on how they hire, who they hire, what skills they will require. I think it is likely to also open up new types of jobs over time as well. So I do think that is kind of going to have a really big impact. And also the way we think about it is it will require accessing talent at a global level, right? Finding people who have those AI skills wherever they are in the world. And again, we see our role as helping spread that opportunity across the globe too. And so for me, that's going to be a kind of big game changer in terms of the future of work. There are other trends too, right? Kind of the shift to remote, I think, is something obviously that's happened, accelerated during COVID. Then kind of you read a lot of headlines about people maybe pulling back and trying to come back to the office. But overall, the trend is clear. And I think that the flexibility that both employees and team members actually want, and also the access to talent that it enables for companies, I think that trend is going to continue. And again, we see it as part of the infrastructure that we are building to help enable that trend over time and help spread that opportunity. So I think the future of work is really big question, and there are some really big trends right now that are having a major impact. But I think the key one that we are kind of really looking at very closely is obviously the impact of AI specifically.
Tony, as the chairman of Oyster, how are you now positioning your company in the competitive world where AI is a factor?
Yeah, look, as an executive chairman, one of the areas that I need to look into is how do I maximize enterprise value creation over long term. And today, part of the answer to that question is, well, how can we adopt AI to the maximum and the fastest way possible? Today, there's no doubt for Oyster to become a multi-billion-dollar impact company in the next few years. AI is going to play a key role, and we're going to become an AI native company.
Walk us through when you say AI native, because most employees and some employers out there are concerned that as AI is slowly getting into the marketplace and into the workplace, there's a lot of job displacement. And so, walk us through where your organization is stepping in to not just create opportunities for developing countries or developing populations, but also in the developed world.
Oyster is about making planet Earth as one employment market, right? So today, 42% of the team member we employ on our platform are in emerging economies. So the majority is still in the developed nations. Although that ratio has been moving more towards emerging economies in the last few years, and that's the intention is to continue in that trajectory. So, no matter where the person is located, Oyster bring that employment flexibility and enable them to have the world as their oyster when they're looking for a job, right? So this is valid for somebody in Lagos, Nigeria, or somebody in Central New York, right? So both of them can access to this amazing job opportunity on a planetary level.
Mr. Hadi, remote work offers freedom, that's for sure, but also isolation. How do you think about loneliness, burnout, and mental health in your distributed teams?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, Martin. When kind of a company wants to operate remotely, it shouldn't kind of just do it like that, right? And like, let's all go remote, and this is how we make it work. I think there are two key components here. One is the culture that you build, right? So you need a very high trust, a very high care culture for remote work to work properly, right? And people really kind of caring about other people within the team, caring also about helping them, developing them, helping drive their performance. I think that's a really key element. And you need to have that culture in place for remote work to be successful. The second key element is, the infrastructure, the tools that you put in place, right? How you communicate, how often you communicate, how do you create connections between the team members, how do you bring the team members physically to meet each other and build those relationships. Those elements are also really critical, so you have to build that infrastructure too. And the combination of the culture that you have and the infrastructure that you have would directly address kind of those specific concerns, but you have to be very intentional about it and you have to design it. If you don't design it, then kind of you might face some of the challenges that you mentioned. And I think that's where some of the companies, if they try to make the switch without being very intentional about designing the right culture and the right infrastructure, that's only the case where you actually do face some challenges.
Tony, should companies, potentially most of those people who are looking at your platform to help them be able to solve um, solutions for their organization, should those companies be responsible for solving the challenges that Hadi just addressed, or is that not a responsibility of an organization, but it falls or defaults back to the particular employee?
Yeah, it's not responsibility of Oyster to design the operating system and the culture of our customers. However, we have a role of influence that we are playing. Oyster, we are ourselves a fully distributed organization in 70 countries, gender equal across the board, including in the leadership team, including on our board, and we are leading the future of work, right? So when it comes to thought leadership, we have open sourced the way we work. We call them the Oyster Reef, where we provided to any company in the world the ability to copy our remote work operating model. And many of our customers did so. They have used these tools and this content to shape how they operate so they can be successful employing anyone anywhere, and they can make people successful no matter where they work.
Gentlemen, is humanity losing something essential? And I say that because if I can go back to where I really start tracking the beauty of remote work, it was during COVID. For me, in that time, the beauty of it was I saw my daughter and son become closer. But for my teammates, for my employees, there was this pull, there was this spread where we had to find new ways to start communicating and to work together. But it felt like we were losing camaraderie, we were losing our culture. By going fully remote, is that an issue that you're experiencing across the globe, or is it something that is a failure in management somewhere and an organization needs to work with that or work on that?
Yeah, look, Martin, like there's no model of remote of work actually that is perfect, right? Every model has its advantages and disadvantages, and you actually pointed out clearly some of the advantages of remote work. I can go forever, as I've been talking about this for 6-7 years. But there are some disadvantages, as you pointed out, right? So human connection is less powerful in remote setting than in an in-person setting. That being said, because it's a known challenge, there's a way to mitigate against it. So you mitigate against it by being intentional of creating human connection in a remote work setting. You actually design in advance opportunity to meet in person on a regular basis. So there's a way to hedge against it. And I remember when we started this business, we started the business in January 2019. In November. We started this business in November 2019. And 3 months later, we were in lockdown, so we couldn't meet our team members for like 2 years. And when the first time we met in person, one of my team members came to me and said, the difference between before and now is that before I knew that I could trust this team. Now I can feel I can trust this team. So there's something about like physical, emotional connection that you lose if you're not in person. So you have to design intentionally these offsites on a regular basis and have them in the calendar in advance to give the opportunity for people to connect. And as a result of that, actually, you can create a culture that is much more human-centric, because all of the benefit that you mentioned of remote work, connection with the family, living where you want to live, working flexibly, not needing to commute. And so there's, a number of potential benefits for remote work, and you hedge against its downside as well, right? And I also want to mention, you mentioned hybrid cultures, right? So where companies have some of their employees in office, some of that remote. These cultures don't really work well from an effectiveness standpoint and a human connection standpoint if they don't adopt one way of working, regardless if they are in the office or remote. Like say, if you have 3 people in an office and 5 people remotely, that meeting has to happen remotely, right? So that everybody have equal access to the way they communicate and collaborate. So the trickiest mode would be hybrid, and the safest would be fully remote or fully in office, but I would not recommend hybrid to organizations.
Very interesting. So both of you are from Lebanon. I believe Hadi, you're in London today. Tony, you're in Cyprus today. I'm in Florida. So this is interesting about the conversation we're having. Does your platform reduce the need for people to physically migrate from for opportunity, or do they accelerate global mobility?
I think, look, our platform means you can access opportunity where you are or where you need to be, right? And so you don't need to move to get access to those opportunities. And kind of going back to what we discussed earlier, that's how we democratize opportunity, and that's how we also help our customers, find talent anywhere in the world. Now, there are cases, for example, that Tony talked about where people have to move. And I think in those cases, we also are able to provide those opportunities to kind of the destinations where people have to move to. So the key is to, again, decouple the location from the actual opportunity itself. So you gain access to that opportunity wherever you are.
And I would like to add here, Hadi, is that if you look at our mission, why we exist to reverse brain drain, right? So people don't have to leave their home country for economical reasons, right? So they might still need to leave it because they are war refugees or because there's climate change happening, but to access a job opportunity in 2026 where increasingly work can be done from anywhere is not needed. It's not a necessity anymore. Hadi and I, we immigrated from our country where before this opportunity existed, right? Now you don't have to do that. You don't have to leave your tribe, your community. And when you look at it, brain drain is the number one reason why emerging economies remain defined as emerging, because they lose their best people to more developed economies, and 90% of them don't return back home. And what they send back home is merely 5% of their income. So you have these emerging economies that have economies that are craving fresh currency that they're not getting because they're losing their best people to the West. Right? This is like a cycle. This is like a continuous cycle of, and you need to break that cycle. So and Oyster, our technology is designed to break that cycle and reverse brain drain.
Talking about brain drain, you just took me right to the next question. Leaders from emerging markets have, over the years, and I think we agree with this, Tony, complained about brain drain from their countries to the developed nation. How does global hiring impact brain drain in emerging markets? Are you guys solving or reshaping how that works out?
I think we can help solve that, right? So if you kind of think about, Tony mentioned the numbers earlier, 42% of our team members today are in emerging economies, right? So these are people who are able to stay kind of where they are in the countries, where they are. And as a result, continue to contribute to the economic activity in their countries. And so they have the opportunity to stay. They don't have to leave their community, they don't have to leave their family in search of that opportunity. And in that case, we can help solve for kind of that brain drain problem. Now, those people also gain skills, right, from working on these opportunities, from working in these companies. That could also mean they can take those skills and apply them to local companies or set up their own companies. So there is an element also of that skill development that could benefit the local communities and the local economies too.
Very interesting. So, Hadi, take us back. What was the moment like when you realized you had to leave Lebanon, and how did that shape your ambition? With that said, Tony, for you left Lebanon and now live in Cyprus. What did opportunity look like before you left versus after? Go for it, Hadi.
So, I grew up in Lebanon. I grew up during the war and I stayed, throughout the war, which was a really challenging time. But, my family had kind of that commitment to the country. They wanted to stay. For me personally, I stayed, I did my undergrad studies in Lebanon. And that was the point where I started looking at what opportunities can I have access to, right? And I was ambitious. I wanted to work on some really exciting kind of big challenges. And that's where opportunity felt really, really limited. And that was the point where I had to make a choice. Do I stay and maybe work on less interesting challenges, on kind of smaller opportunities, or do I leave in search of, something kind of bigger, more interesting, where I feel I can challenge myself even more, where I can develop my skills even more? And that was the point where I had to make that choice. And I made that choice, and I decided to leave at that point. I went to, studied more, had access to many different opportunities, moved around quite a bit. I lived in the US, and then I lived in the Middle East, in Dubai. Then I'm, back to the US, and then back to London, always in that, search for opportunity. But that critical moment came, towards the end of finishing my studies and really thinking, what do I want to do next? How can I get that access to the opportunities that I really wanted? And that was, the point I had to make that difficult choice and leave Lebanon behind to go after those opportunities.
Tony?
Very similar story. At 17, in a post-war, civil war Lebanon, there were no opportunity for me. And there was this French university that came to our high school and offered one spot for one person. And that was me by accident. So my father sold his car, bought me a one-way ticket to Paris. And then I went there, I studied computer science, and I started working there. And then I moved to the UK. I spent 10 years there, and then I moved to the US. I spent another 10 years there. And then eventually I came back home, or closest to home, which is Cyprus today. And I started Oyster in November 2019, so that I can live anywhere I want. I don't have to anymore be in a densely populated city in the West for me to build technology businesses. I can build a unicorn company from anywhere I want, and I'm choosing Cyprus because it is closest to my home country. It's 20 minutes flight, and it's very similar in terms of nature.
Thank you. So there is, and any one of you can answer this question, there is over 7 hard pockets across the globe now. Places where humanity is suffering from the effects of war. You obviously, both of you were able to find perspective and something within you that was a driver to overcome what was going on in your environment and to continue to pursue what your passions were in life. For those who are in hard pockets across the globe, what opportunities is your organization offering to those individuals, especially based on their talents and skills, and how are we reaching out to them?
In people that are currently displaced because of conflict situations, and we've seen that happening in a number of places around the world, we are in a position to help them keep their job as they move to another country, right? So think about these refugees. We've seen it happening in places like Ukraine, where we have seen an influx of refugees across Europe that wanted to maintain their employment and be able to continue to be paid. In other conflicts, unfortunately, some population cannot leave, right? So they are stuck and they're in a very small area. So unfortunately, we are not able to help all the refugees in war zones, because there are some places where you just cannot escape anymore. And it's sad to see that there's inequality in terms of access to sustained income for these refugees. Depending on the war, some refugees can sustain their income, and some actually they have nothing left. they cannot even leave and be safe.
How do you look like you have something?
No, I mean, I agree with Tony. I think it's obviously it's a very difficult situation, first and foremost, right? It's really tough. I mean, we both grew up in a war zone. It's very, very challenging. Safety is always kind of the number one concern, and unfortunately, there are cases where there is kind of not much we can do when access to work and access to income and access to opportunity is limited, even when it's available kind of on a fully remote basis. Where we have been able to help is in those cases where people have been displaced, but they were still able to get access to that opportunity to continue to support themselves, to continue to support their families. And that's obviously something that we remain committed to providing, and hopefully we can help more people access that opportunity.
Interesting. Hadi, what's the decision you made so far as CEO that you knew would be unpopular, but knew beyond a shadow of a doubt it was necessary?
Um, Good question. I think, look, the first one is to revisit our long-term strategy, our long-term plan. So coming in, I knew the team, had done a really good job of building a strong foundation for this business. But the key next question is, where do we go from here? And that's kind of the work I've started doing. That's now we are defining kind of our new longer-term plan. And that, when you define a new longer term plan, that requires making some choices, right? Areas that you invest in, but also areas that kind of you stop doing. And I would say that's kind of the first thing that, could be unpopular if people have, a specific point of view around an area that we have previously invested in that maybe they think we should continue investing in. But I think what's really important is, the clarity of where we want to go, really explaining the why, sharing that vision and explaining why it's important for us, how it helps us deliver on the mission, how it helps drive the business value over time, and then kind of building that buy-in and bringing people effectively on that journey. But that's kind of, I would say, the first key thing in terms of critical decision for us at this point.
What has been the hardest part about letting go operationally?
The hardest moment was the moment where I have clicked leave the Slack channel of my leadership team. I knew my mind knew absolutely that is the right thing to do, to get out of the way of the day-to-day so that they know there's a new sheriff in town that is not me. But my body was dealing with some difficult emotions at that time.
Very interesting. So what's the game plan? For Tony, what's the game plan?
Look, Oyster deserved to be the largest impact workday company. And I believe it has all the characteristics to become one. So what is next for me is to be at service to this organization in my new role as an executive chairman, to support Hadi, to be an advisor for Hadi and the team, and to remain one protector of the mission and the culture going forward. And I'm honored to play that role now in my executive chairman role, playing more to my strength and serving Oyster in this new capacity.
Hadi, Tony is very clear on his new role and where he wants to see Oyster go. For you, I'm sure in the back of your mind you have a concern on mission drift. As you're looking to scale faster and rapidly, how are you working around mission drift?
I think, look, like I mentioned earlier, like mission has to be a filter by which you make choices, right? That is absolutely critical. So I mentioned we are looking at our 3-year strategy. And as we look at different directions and different hypotheses, and then how we evaluate them, we've set a set of specific criteria. The first one is, does it help us achieve the mission? Yes or no, right? And that is a critical filter for us to determine what direction we decide to take going forward. Again, I joined because I deeply believe in this mission, and I want to make sure that we maintain that mission. And Tony going into this new role is also a partner in making sure that we continue to execute on that mission. And so we really apply it as an important filter in terms of the decisions that we make, in terms of our strategic direction, in terms of the investments that we decide to make, in terms of what we build and we don't build from a product perspective. And that's really how we ensure that there is no mission drift, that actually what we are doing as a company is in service of achieving our mission longer term.
What countries are emerging as unexpected talent hubs right now?
I think we see kind of a number of different hubs. It does change quite regularly, but some examples. The Philippines for us has been a growth area, for example, and where we start to see our growth area. That's where we start to also develop our infrastructure more. So kind of, for example, as we've seen that growth in that market, we are now kind of developing our direct infrastructure there as well. But that's one of the hubs that over the last few months we've seen consistently as an emerging one, where we are seeing some of the highest growth rates in terms of team members.
Tony, I assume you've gotten to a place where you transitioned yourself to the executive chairman position because you've seen something shift in the marketplace. Are Western companies, enterprise, actually ready to manage truly global teams, or are they still in the experimental phase?
Yeah, Martin, what is shifting is that what used to be a service for big corporation that want to open a market and they want to hire temporary talent, now it has shifted to mainstream approach to employing people across border, and more smaller and medium-sized businesses actually are adopting global hiring at much faster levels than before, and they need Oyster to be able to do so effectively and at scale. So what used to be a point solution tool for large companies, now it's a strategic platform for growth for a much bigger part of the market.
Very interesting. Hadi, what's skills of global
I think going forward, especially if you think about the impact that AI is going to have on jobs, the key skills will be human skills, right? That ability to kind of build relationships, build connections, that ability to manage people, to have a high level of emotional intelligence, to have a high level of empathy. This for me is, these are going to become the really critical skills in a world where, AI plays a bigger part and, maybe takes away the, some of the automation or the automated elements of specific jobs. Like doing the same thing over and over again will become less and less important. Right, doing some task that can be easily outsourced to an AI will become less and less important. But that ability, that human connection, those human skills, I think will become extremely important in the future. And on top of that, I would say a level of adaptability, a level of flexibility to be able to operate in an environment that is constantly changing. These for me are going to be the key skills that will become even more important over time. They're really important today, but they will become even more important over time.
Gentlemen, if I may play the devil's advocate, while researching our conversation, I couldn't help myself by just getting lost into these channels on social media where people are talking about the opportunities that are available in the marketplace, especially in the workplace. Should hypothetically a developer in Nigeria be paid the same as one in San Francisco or Pakistan for the same job? Why not, Hadi?
It's a really good question, Martin. I think it's something that, like you said, there is a lot of debate, and I think there are kind of two sides to it. I think overall, our goal is to try and balance and reduce that equality, and so by giving the opportunity to kind of the developer that's based in Nigeria, that we can kind of reduce the gap. Now, obviously, it kind of the flip side of that. There is the supply and demand, that kind of play a big role, and some of the developers that are based maybe on the West Coast, where there is a lot of demand, it's kind of a more constrained pool in terms of people that are available there, and with maybe some specific skills, that kind of drives also the maybe the cost or the value or how much those people are paid. But our goal as an organization is to try to reduce that gap as much as possible by spreading that opportunity at a global level.
Thank you. Tony, for young immigrants, how should they prepare for a world where both geography and skill requirements are shifting?
Well, first, they can make geography irrelevant. They can look at the world as their oyster when they're looking for opportunity, right? And when it comes to skills, I mean, today the key skill to invest in is to become AI native, right? Like, I cannot see a future where our young professionals they're coming out of universities already capable of using AI, and sometimes much better than people with a longer experience in the workforce, right? So definitely being AI native and cutting edge in AI is going to be important for our young executives.
Gentlemen, we're getting to the top of the hour, and as promised, I wanted to be very respectful of your time. But before we jump off, Oyster is at an inflection point. For you, Hadi, what does success look like 3 years from now?
It is very much building that multi-billion impact business, right? So again, our business results and our ability to drive the mission and have impact are fully aligned, and for us it's really important to be able to drive that mission at scale. And the way that we do it, again, is by developing a great service, a high level of service and experience to our customers, who then become our partners on this journey. And they help us hire more people at a global level, which increases the opportunities for team members across the world, right? That for us is what really would define success in 3 years.
Fantastic. Tony, your pain has subsided because you have shifted that responsibility to Hadi. But as the chairman, what's keeping you up at night?
Before I answer this question, I just want to say that I'm fully aligned with the answer that Hadi just gave, and I think that's really important for the CEO and executive chairman to be aligned on this specific question. And I have to say that I sleep very well as an executive. I sleep better as an executive chairman than as a CEO, to be honest. Because before I used to work late in the night to work with people in the US from a time zone perspective. It was not easy, and one of the key reasons, personal reason I wanted to do this transition is because I want to be there in the morning for my kids when they wake up for breakfast and taking them to school. So I have to say I'm grateful, very grateful for Hadi, for Oyster, to give me that opportunity to show up for my kids more at times when I can be with them.
Fantastic. Tony, at the end of the day, what kind of impact do you want Oyster to have on the world?
We want the younger generation, no matter where they are born, to believe that they can access any opportunities they want anywhere in the world. That is the impact we want to see. We want to give dignity and hope and opportunity for anyone, anywhere, regardless of where they are born.
Thank you. Hadi, you have to close us out. If you could give one piece of advice to young immigrants, what would it be?
It would be, don't kind of constrain yourself. Think about the world as your oyster. Think about the world as where you can kind of find opportunity. I think be curious and have a growth mindset. Think about the skills that you need to develop those skills, and then look for that kind of great opportunity that now is increasingly possible while you can stay closer to your community and your family.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, this has been fantastic. Tony, before we sign off, is there anything you expected I would share with you that I did not ask you?
You've asked a lot of questions, Martin. I just want to say thank you again for having us for the second time here with my new friend Hadi, and thank you for doing what you do and supporting the mission that Oyster is committed to.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, I have to say, I love what you guys are doing. I love the mission. I'm here to support you. Anything we can do at the Immigrant Pod to help you be able to reach out to the global village, we are here for you. Immigrants, today we had Hadi and Tony. This was an incredible conversation. Your journey, your leadership, and your work at Oyster to expand global opportunities is not only timely, it's necessary. We appreciate you from the Immigrant Pod. We really, truly do appreciate you sharing your story, your vision with us. And we're excited to see how you'll continue to shape the world now and in the future. Follow the conversation on TikTok and Instagram at Immigrant Nation, Facebook, the Immigrant Nation Podcast, and of course, LinkedIn and YouTube, the Immigrant Nation. Tony, tell us one more time where we can find you and Oyster on social media.
You can find me on LinkedIn and you can find Oyster on oysterhr.com.
Hadi, for those of you who want to connect with you, where can they find you?
Also on LinkedIn would be the best place.
Gentlemen, it's a wrap. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.